J. Rogers, and I am the great-granddaughter of John and Matilda Newman, who arrived in Ellison Bay in 1873, 2 months after they got married in Chicago.
Oh,
They were from the Värmland region of Sweden, and John had been in Chicago for a couple of years before Matilda got there, and I don't know if they knew each other beforehand or not, but they got together in Chicago and got married and moved to Ellison Bay, a farm on Garrett Bay Road, and they had 11 children. You can imagine. I can't. I had 3 and that was enough. So, let's see, I told you about Sweden. Matilda lived to be 79 years old. Her husband John died at age 45, leaving her with 10 children and she was pregnant. So this woman was in charge of that farm for a lot of years. Her husband had done logging and fishing, and he would fish as much as 100 pounds of trout in one day with a hook and line. If you can imagine that. So I mean, they had to be multifaceted people with the logging and the farming and the fishing and taking care of their animals and being a farmer and everything. So my grandmother Hannah, this is her wedding picture. She grew up on the farm in Garrett Bay Road and was one of the older children. At age 17, that was the year her father died. He died in September. She left and went to Chicago and became a maid in the Palmer House Hotel. But she came back to Ellison Bay. You have to come back. And she married my grandfather, J. Rogers, who was on a very large farm and logging operation in Raleigh's Bay, Wisconsin, but just 4 miles east. And Jay was the son of Sam Rogers, who was quite the entrepreneur. He owned 4,000 acres of property and ran quite a logging operation. They had a sawmill, they had a big pier, a dock to ship cedar wood by boat down to Chicago and Milwaukee. They had quite a community. There was a store. My great-grandfather, who was a doctor in the Civil War, lived with them to be with his daughter. And so he had his medical practice there, and they had a post office. So it was a thriving little community down in Raleigh's Bay. And my grandmother had 5 children, 3 of whom survived. Unfortunately, children didn't always make it. And the Rogers family donated the property for the cemetery in Raleigh's Bay and also the Sand Bay Town Park to the town. My grandfather was a respected member of the community. He was a town chairman. He was on a county board for 20 years, and of course that meant going to Sturgeon Bay. You have to go there for 3 days or something, and leave my grandmother there at the farm to take care of things. She was had a very busy life. her life revolved around food preparation. They did bread every day. They churned butter. She, had to make a big meal every noon, and they had farm workers that she had to feed, and a very large garden. There's a lot of preserving food all summer long. It's a lot of work. She gave me some advice because I lived in Raleigh's Bay as a small child, and she told me many times, she said, "Kay, don't marry a farmer. You have to work too hard." The building here in Ellison Bay where the cooking school is, that originally was a schoolhouse for Ellison Bay, and when they built a new school, my grandfather bought that building, and my father had graduated from engineering school, but he wasn't able to get a job during the Depression. So he took the postmaster exam, and he became the postmaster in Ellison Bay, and that is where I came into the world. I was born in the post office, so I'm a legitimate Ellison Bay native. There's not too many of us left anymore. My grandmother Hannah lived to age 90, and she really enjoyed company. She expected people to come and visit her. She got angry if nobody came to see her in the afternoon. There's a lot of drop-in company in those days. You didn't have to call ahead and see just knock on the door, come in, have some coffee. She always had sugar cookies on the dining room table. She must have made them several times a week. They were just wonderful. And so that's about it in a nutshell. So thanks for helping us keep the past alive and your interest.
Do you live in any of the homestead land or anything now?
My cousin owns a cottage in Raleigh's Bay, and that's it. Yeah, the Raleigh's Bay Resort is the original Rogers farm.
Okay.
And what was left when my grandfather retired, he had sold most. There was about 400 acres left, and my uncle bought that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sold it to a man named Lou Casagrande, who was going to make a fishing camp out of it.